We got baseball in London. We got football in Brazil. Do we need all these international games? Are they really, really that good? They're really that helpful? We got the Phillies in London this weekend. We're going to talk about it. Some news and information from this trip to Brazil for the Eagles. We're going to talk about that. Eagles defense ahead of the offense. Why that's okay. Don't overreact. And a very special guest joining us in about an hour, Sia Nejad. You're not going to want to miss the interview. Trending the AM is live with all your thoughts and opinions on anything. We're live in 60 seconds. And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. We are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. You know the drill. Wherever you're at, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that follow button, that retweet button. Wherever you're at, whichever platform, do what you can to share it out. It is going to be a very, very important show today in the sense that we've got a very special guest joining us later in the show that's going to bring a lot of different commentary to the table. So you're going to want to be tuned in today. You're not going to want to miss when Sia Nejad, the Sia Nejad Sports Network, and countless other networks joins us in about an hour. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. Do me that favor. Hit those like and subscribe buttons. You can find me if you want to follow me on any social media platform that I'm on, at Bearded Knowledge. Guys, before Sia gets here, we are going to talk about this London series for the Phillies. The fact that we are going to London. And it seems cool. We're seeing the Phillies players. I'm not seeing much of the Mets players, but I'm seeing a lot of the Phillies players and coaches out and about with the fans, helping promote the game. But because of news or reports that broke yesterday about this Eagles trip to Brazil, I wonder if it's necessary. Are all these international trips necessary? You're taking two baseball teams, the Phillies and the Mets, two opposite ends of the equation right now. Phillies, one of the best, if not the best team in baseball. One of the hottest starts in 25, 30 years for this team. And you're going to make them take 2 days off, go to London, come back, and then go on a super difficult road trip to Baltimore and Boston back to back. Not good for the momentum of this Phillies team. That's part one of the equation. Part two, the distractions in the middle of the season, all the fanfare that the Phillies have to do. Is that good for the team? And I get it. Like, I get that this international trip will bring more eyes to the game of baseball in theory. But is it necessary, and is it the right thing? And then you look at football and what the Eagles are doing going to Brazil, to start the season. And there's reports now that the players are told they're not allowed to wear any green. You pick two teams. Primary colors are green, the Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Not allowed to wear their colors. You've got fans from both cities going down there, going to be decked out head to toe in green. Not necessary. Reports saying that the teams are going to be staying in their hotel, and when they leave their hotel, under armored security. Not necessary. At least in London, Rob Thompson's out drinking with the fans. Bryce Harper's taking pictures on the subway, et cetera, et cetera. There is some safety there. I still don't like the distraction. Are these international games becoming too much, too frequently, all over? Do you really think, no offense, do you really think the people in London care about baseball? I mean, it's taken 15 years for them to care about football. Do you really think they care about baseball yet? And maybe this is the start of it. I get it. But I don't know if it's necessary, especially to go all the way over there. Go to a city for baseball that actually is a baseball town and reward those countries. Like go to the Dominican Republic for a game. Find a way to get to Cuba for a game. Go do a baseball game on a military base for the people of our armed services. I don't know. All these things are roaming through my head as I get set for today's show, and I just don't know how I feel. Right in the comments, good morning, Adam. Happy Friday to you as well. Do not miss Sia joining us at 9 o'clock. Very inspirational, motivational interview coming up in a little bit. Good morning, Elephant in the Room. What are your thoughts, Big Elephant? I know you said you wanted to be here for this conversation today. What are your thoughts on the London trip, the Brazil trip, just the fact that these teams or these leagues feel the need to go overseas for games? You want to do something go to a city that, go to a different city in the United States that doesn't get a baseball team. Go to Mexico, huge baseball population. I mean, they do the South Korea or the Japan games to start the season. I get that. At least there's a huge audience for it there to grow the game where people care. I have a feeling that all this hoopla around going to London, all it's going to do is stress the baseball teams out. Not physically stress them out, but emotionally and exhaustion-wise, stress them out. And I don't think it's necessary. That Dan guy on that one channel is always negative about the Eagles. I don't get how. Yeah. Dude, Drew, it's been a while, my man. Hope you're doing well, Drew Evo. But if you guys if you're boxing fans, find my man Drew. He's got a boxing show and boxing channel. I think I said this on the show yesterday or 2 days ago when I went on a little rant. How this guy gets thousands and thousands of views on his show a day. Here I am banging the drum, working my tail off to get a couple hundred. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't. Negativity. People thrive on negativity. He brings negativity. And this is going to be something we talk about with Sia Nejad later in the show because he really works on motivate, inspiring, bettering yourself, healthy habits, things like that. So I'm really curious, a question like this, a comment like this, when Sia comes on the show, I will make sure to bring something like this into the conversation. Good morning, Little G. Hope you are doing well. I'm a big Eagles fan and not going to be. Yeah, thanks, Mike. I got that. Yeah, Brazil. I mean, I got to do an ad read in a little bit for Philly Sports Trips, but I don't know if I want to promote Brazil. If the players need armed guards, do the fans need them? Who's going to be protecting the fans? Is Philly Sports Trips going to have David Archerry there to help bail people out of the Brazilian prisons? Why are the Eagles going to Brazil? I get at least London is a safe place. Brazil is questionable. And then the fact that you can't wear green because of the gang colors, somebody dropped the ball in the NFL. I was fully intended on spending most of the show talking about the Phillies and the trip to London. And then you see the fact that you need armored cars and stuff like that. Like, it's not too late for the NFL to pivot from Brazil. It's not. You can move it. I'm sure there'll be a lot closer and safer countries or cities that would love to have the Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers on a Friday night, week 1 of the NFL season. I love the Flyers, and oh my God, guys, I love you. I love you. Bro, they always put me on the backup channel. Yeah? Good morning, my man. How you doing? Eric, it's a Friday, guys. Yeah, guys, you guys are too much. It's way too early on a Friday morning for that. Yeah, the biggest sports in the UK is soccer and boxing, absolutely. Football, the NFL has been going there for what, Drew? 10, 15 years now, and they're just getting to the point where they can have more games? I mean, I just don't see it. I think they've done London games before, just not the Phillies, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. It's pointless, in my opinion, and detrimental to the flow of the team. And not just to the Phillies. Like, I feel bad for the Mets, too. This is the only time you'll ever hear me say I feel bad for the Mets. All right, the Mets, whatever. Like, your whole season, and you got to pick up and not just travel. You get 3 days off in 5 days, not ideal. Not that the Mets have to do media appearances because no one knows who anybody on the Mets is. There's no star power, so to speak, on the Mets. I bet you there's some London people that knew who Bryce Harper is. And well, maybe that's it. Maybe Zach Wheeler. Like, I just don't see it. I don't see the necessity of going to London for a baseball game. And it's cool. I know a lot of Philly media members, small and big alike, are over there for it. Good for them. Good for you. Good for them. Get a little trip to cover the baseball team. I get it. I just don't know. I don't know if the disruption is worth the quote-unquote growth of the game internationally that they're going to sell you on as the reasoning behind it. When I'm famous, you better shout out yeah, absolutely. It's not the original 20. Geez, you're newer, at least on Twitter. I don't know if you were commenting on Facebook or YouTube before the last couple of days. It's called the Core 12. It's not 12 people. The Core 12 is my base listening audience. The people that are here every day or almost every day, just so you know. I will never forget the Core 12. I will be calling, and I'm never going to be famous. Maybe halfway famous someday, but never real famous, okay? I think that was a mistype there. I said it on Matches Stream. Eagles could wear their Frankfurt Yellow Jacket uniforms. They could. They're ugly. Aren't they the blue and yellow ones? They are ugly, as can be. I don't know who Matches Stream is, but gotcha. They're ugly, but they could. Salute. Yes, they're probably going. The Eagles are probably going to. They're probably going to wear like a white or black jersey with white or black pants, which is no green in it. Maybe they'll come out with some black and white rush black Eagles helmet, which actually would be pretty cool. You're trending in my DMs. What? That's creepy. Yeah, Mitch, yeah. Well, in London, is a Philly sports bar. Oh, let's go to London because they got isn't called like Passy-Youngs. I'm seeing everybody at it. What? It does nothing to me. This team doesn't care about flow or momentum. They don't subscribe to it. They make their own. We're going to find out next week if this is correct, Chiefs. Because let's be honest, the Red Hot, one of the best teams in the league, after this 2 games in London, we're going to Boston and we're going to Baltimore. That is 6 extremely difficult road games in a row. I hope we can go 500 on the road in that stretch. If we go 3-3 in the 6 games post-London trip, I'll be happy. But there's a scenario in my mind where this trip causes some kind of drop-off, and we go 2-4 or 1-5 in that stretch. I hope you're right. They don't care about the flow. That they'll just be fine. Mitchie Poo was cooking last night. Mitchie Poo's always cooking. Mitchie Poo's the man. I tried to say what's up Mitchie Poo on his show last night, and spell check changed it to Mitchell Poo. So we're going to call him Mitchell Poo from here on out, just so you know. So there it is. So if they want to grow the sport, let the British come over here. Absolutely. Hey, we'll give them a twofer. Hey, you guys fly over from London, show your London passport. We'll give you 2-for-1 to a game. We don't need to go over there. Eric helping everybody out. What's up, Relaunch? How many Eagles fans do you think will end up in Brazilian prison? How much? Yes. Absolutely. There's going to be one international incident in Brazil for sure. There's got to be. Like, I don't understand. Like, at least London, they might go, they might be drunk on some pints of Guinness, Philly fans. But I think the Brits know what's going on. They don't want another 1812 or 1776 on their hands. But Brazil, they don't care. It just doesn't make any sense. Core 12 always shows up and shows out, my man. Eagles blackout, all black, head to toe. That's going to be what and the Green Bay Packers all white. I don't know. And yeah, man, the upcoming schedule is really tough to have to adjust to time, then face some of your biggest tests of the season is very scary. Our lead isn't that big when you look at the schedule. Absolutely agree. Yeah, what are we at? 7 or 7.5 games or whatever right now in the division? That can shrink to 3 or 4 in a blink of an eye. Elephant. Blink of an eye, that can disappear. And that's kind of what my concern is. I mean, we've got elite pitching going on with this team. Our hitting has already been kind of quieted it lately. You've got, because of this London series and the 3 days off around it, you got starters that are going to go 6-7 days, and we already know that Wheeler and Nola hate those extra long layoffs. You're going to have relievers probably that don't see the field in London, which means they're going to go 7, 8, 9, 10 days in between outings. Our bullpen has been lights out. What's it going to do to somebody? Orion Kirkland's been great this year. What if Orion Kirkland doesn't see the field during the London series? That young kid ready to mentally adjust to 10 days off? I just don't know if it's necessary. I don't know. Offense has kind of been poop as of late. They need to get it going. Yeah. And all this extra travel and all this extra everything, and might get worse. Steel sharpens steel. If the Phils are real, they should sweep this series. The two against the Mets, absolutely. But what I'm talking about is after all this hoopla. I don't like the London series because of the after. We don't need the after effects. We don't need to be exhausted, headed to Boston and down to Baltimore. We need to be rested for these tough games. And they'll be rested the wrong way. The British have a lead. Oh, my God. I still got Eagles going 14-3. They put in Bradbury at safety, well, if he ever gets healthy, to up in his trade value so they could see them trading Maddox and having one rookie starting. Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk Eagles, there's, the Jalen Hurts comments from yesterday that the offense is 95% new, and they're definitely behind the defense in the first minicamp, which is obvious. People are overreacting in Eagles Nation because the offense looks sketchy and the defense looks so great. Dude, literally 95% new offense. Of course, after 3 days of practice, the defense is going to be ahead of the offense. It is going to take the entire offseason to get this offense humming and hawing. D-line, I think safety needs more than D-line at this point. Mavs look like shit. But let me remind you, the Mavs got crushed in round 1 of the playoffs in game 1. They got crushed game 1 of round 2 of the semis. They got crushed game 1 of the conference finals, and they won all those series. So I wanted the Mavs to win last night. They did. Is your guest from London? No, my guest is not from London. Phil, you never like anything. I like everything. Hoopla. It's a good word, hoopla. It's not used enough. I don't know. We're going to find out. He's a big movie buff and big TV buff. So we will ask the Godfather Goodfellas question to see it. But we might get other movie quotes. Other movie things mixed in here. Don't worry about the relievers getting work. Isn't Walker pitching? Exactly. Let's go to London and schedule it, and let's make sure Taijuan Walker is one of the 2 pitchers that has to go. That's really going to represent the game of baseball well. Eagles going to win 11 if Hurts comments alone. Yeah. I think you're overreacting like when you were talking about smack about Thompson's batting order. So you've been watching and paying attention a lot longer than you let on. I get you. Look, I try not to talk trash on Rob Thompson this year. I've said it. If you go back and follow my tweets from the last 2 seasons of him in charge, I'm much calmer on Rob Thompson this year. I am. I question, but I also understand that Rob Thompson, whether he does questionable things or not, this guy's like Teflon. Like everything just bounces off of him. As a questionable decision, but yeah, it works out anyway. Every questionable decision works out. That's right, Mike. Smash that like button. Shame you're missing. You're going to have to catch the replay. Sia Nejad in about 35, 40 minutes. Join us. It's a must-listen-to interview. Jalen threw another pick per sources close to the situation. Yeah. So I still got Mavs in 6. Wow. I think the Mavs are going to have to take 7 to get it now, Drew. But they better win game 2 if they want a shot. The Eagles have to travel too, but they will have like 9 days off in between games. It will kill their momentum too. They got a lot of road games early in the season, Adam. A lot of travel early in the season, the Eagles. No, he's not. But yeah, these guys, everybody's on par today. You're not trying hard enough, Phil. Talk about Teflon. Jalen got that diplomatic immunity. That's right. His diplomatic immunity has not been revoked. Okay? Just so you know. Oh my God. Stop. That was a perfect time for me to take a pause in the action here and mention SherryTickets.com. Great moments don't just happen, they happen with you in the crowd. SherryTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see, the price you pay. Pay less, play more, SherryTickets.com. They also have great theater and concert tickets. Kenny Chesney is Saturday down here in Philly. Give them a call, 610-494-5050 for a personal touch, or visit SherryTickets.com. ELP10, the promo code. It gets you 10% off, along with the fact that they don't have any hidden fees. SherryTickets.com. Don't overpay with the rest. Save with the best. Promo code EOP10, SherryTickets.com, or 610-494-5050. Guys, SherryTickets.com. And back to this. Breaking news. Another Jalen pick. This time it went to the house. Stop. Now, this is something. This is a tough one for me. I don't know if I can agree with this. As a pianist myself, as a classically trained pianist, cannot necessarily agree with this. Now, the concert of Kenny Chesney's might be good. Never seen him in concert. I've seen Elton John, never solo. I've seen him a few times when he would do the head face-to-face tours with Billy Joel. And he's entertaining as hell. But also it's because Billy Joel was there, and I'm a huge Billy Joel guy. So I don't know how Elton John would be solo for 2 hours. I've seen Billy Joel solo by himself like 3 or 4 times, and then with Elton John a few times. I don't know. But Kenny Chesney sure is. I got No Shoes Nation or No Shoes Radio programmed in my car. And I'm turning into a Kenny Chesney fan. I am. Mavs starting 0-2 and winning 4 straight. Ow. Wow. What's up, mister? How you doing this morning? Good, happy Friday. It's weekend, guys. Dak to Seahawks next year. Dak to the Seahawks or the Raiders. Washington, maybe. There's a few teams he could go to next year. But I can see him doing Seattle. Eric is ready for the weekend if he thinks the Mavs win. I know, exactly. Eric has already started on the sauce, okay, for the weekend. In the words of Jimmy Buffett, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. It was actually the anniversary of that song coming out yesterday. Eric's already on the sauce. Did you know Flava Flav is a great piano player? I'm not going to fact check that. I did not know that, but that is not a surprise. A lot of hip hop / celebrities in the music field, they all started with the piano, when they were young. Oh, dude, I could talk Billy Joel deep cuts with you for hours. I'm a huge Billy Joel guy. I played the piano because of Billy Joel. I've got a set of piano keys tattooed on my arm. Billy Joel is one of the reasons right there. Love Billy Joel. I still have, when he did the first time he did the face-to-face tour, I was working at Friendly's, so it was probably like 98, 99. I still got my green T-shirt from that face-to-face tour. It was the first time that I knew that he and Billy Joel played together. Flava Flav. That's right. Yeah. We didn't start the fire. No, we didn't light, but we're trying. Yeah, we're trying to fight. Guys, the Phillies didn't start no fire, but they're putting out everybody else's fire. I just hope this trip to London doesn't put the Phillies fire out. Flava Flav. Yeah, absolutely. He apparently one of them genius type where piano comes now. See, that was the thing. That was the thing that sucked. I was not a natural. I had to practice and work damn hard at becoming a good piano player. It's insane. It always drove me nuts. There was this kid growing up in elementary school. We were both the 2 piano players in our class. And I worked so hard to get good at it. Him, he could just listen to a song one time, and he was good. I'm like, what the hell? How do you do that? Listen to a song one time and just boom, done. Got it. I never had that. I saw reports of Micah Parsons once out of Dallas. Any chance he comes here? Well, is there any chance that Micah Parsons comes? There's a chance that Micah Parsons wants to play in Philly. The question would be, would Howie Roseman pay him? Because that would be out of his normal realm of where he pays people. Also, would he fit into our cap? We've already got a lot of big priced players on this team. He'd want to come here. I don't know if Howie would pay him to come here. It's not Howie's MO. And Mike is not going to leave $20, $30 million on the table. Someone's going to give Micah Parsons one of the richest defensive contracts of all time. Maybe the richest at the time. There's a chance that Jerry Jones does not do it. Sixers really screwed up the draft for so long. It's evident how Boston has cashed in on their top picks. Watching that game last night, I mean, Jason Tatum had a bad game last night by his standards. Jalen Brown, Drew Holiday, Al Horford. Can I ask anybody that watched that Mavs Celtics game 1 that's a Sixers fan that's watching this show? Like, when there was a point in the third or fourth quarter where Al Horford knocked down a 3, and I went, like, I actually threw up in my mouth. It, like, kills me. Kills me. But both those teams, well drafted, well built, well constructed. Someone tweeted at me last night in the middle of the game when the Mavs made their run and closed the 29-point deficit to 8 points, 7 or 8 points it was at one point. And someone tweeted at me last night. It's like, would the Sixers have made that comeback? And I just laughed. I'm like, no. And that's the difference between the Sixers and the Mavs and the Celtics. I don't know. I haven't played the piano in a long time, Adam. I got some hand issues. I can't play anymore. I was a very big Mozart and Beethoven guy. I could play Billy Joel. I never did Billy Joel justice when I played. But I did like to play him. I felt like I was never doing him justice. I was better at playing the classicals, like the Mozarts of the world and the Tchaikovskys and stuff like that. That Beethoven, that was my specialty. Just so you know. So, I mean, I'll say this. Every piano player learns Fur-Elise from Beethoven. The first song I ever performed in front of a live audience that wasn't my family was Fur-Elise. So I always go with that, just because it was the first time I was a very shy kid. Still am shy to this day. But the first song I ever performed in front of people, and my hands were shaking like this, was Fur-Elise. So Jerry Lee Lewis was another one who was just sat down at the piano and instantly, I hated it. I was so jealous of those people. Okay, on the people that could just listen to a song one time or just sit down at the piano and create a song out of thin air. Like, I had to work so hard to learn songs. Too painful to watch. So you didn't watch it all. All right, what's up, Mitchell Pooh? Mitchell Pooh. I don't know if you caught that spell that autocorrect last night. Dallas is in cap hell, and you also get one of their best O linemen. Said, the Cowboys are going to go into a dark spot soon. It's Mitchell Pooh, because I tried to type Mitchie Pooh in his show last night, and autocorrect changed it to Mitchell Pooh. We lucked out on Joel and Maxey. We passed on so many great players. Imagine we passed on Cousins or Paul George for Evan Turner. Oh, man, Evan Turner's become a thorn in Sixers fans' side, too, with the way he talks trash on us all the time. Fur-Elise is the stairway to heaven of the piano, basically. Actually, Stairway to Heaven, extended cuts have some great piano solos at the end of it. I called it, Mitchell. If it auto-corrected into that would have been pretty funny. I didn't have Porzingis with 20 points off the bench. He plays like that. Bring out the brooms. I know. Porzingis, man. What they used to call him? The unicorn or whatever? Man. Hasn't played in how long? The entire playoffs? Didn't have that happening either, Steve. Not at all. Great job covering the Union game last night, by the way. I was in the zone and I couldn't laugh. You can always get out. I mean, you only do your show for 45 minutes. So you got to get a lot of content in 45 minutes. I got 90 minutes, so I could just stop and pause and laugh and not worry about it. I'm more of a Herbie Hancock kind of guy. Yeah. Evan Turner sucks on court and on the mic. At least Iguodala was great on the court, even though he's questionable on the mic. Yeah. I've seen him a few times do mic work. It's not the greatest Iguodala. Evan Turner, I wanted Evan Turner to be good so bad. I did. The dude just wasn't. It just wasn't. Boston going to choke again from Drew. I don't know. It's going to be tough. I said it, 6-7 games. It's going to be. It's going to be back and forth for sure. Trying to struck a chord must be A. I'll let you pick up this. Guys, real quick, we're caught up on the questions. It's a good time to bring up our friends, PhillySportsTrips.com. If you're a Philly sports fan, you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best, PhillySportsTrips.com. They offer premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever, Philly sports fans. Sports Trips has self and full travel packages available for round-trip flights, bus trips, Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, Union, you name it, they got it. Go to PhillySportsTrips.com, sign up, let them know you heard about them on Trending in the AM right here on Edge of Philly Sports. Obviously, they got this trip to Brazil for Eagles, Green Bay Packers Week 1. Now, after the breaking news yesterday, I don't even know why I'm promoting that one, but it is. I'm not sure if they got room left for their trip to Boston literally next week, but if they do, check them out. Phillies versus the Red Sox, Fenway Park. They have a day trip next weekend to Baltimore to see the Phillies take on the Orioles. But the most furthest out one that I'm promoting right now is the Chicago Cubs Wrigley Field trip, July 3rd to July 7th. See your Phillies take on the Cubbies. Celebrate the 4th of July in Chicago. PhillySportsTrips.com. Sign up. Let them know. Trending in the AM, Edge of Philly is where you heard about them. Again, PhillySportsTrips.com. Don't miss them. I remember reading the draft reports for that draft, and other than John Wall, who was first overall, and Boogie, who had behavioral issues, Turner was the hands-down number 2 pick that year. The Sixers didn't reach or go against the grain. Now, maybe they should, knowing that Evan Turner was the second best player and that in any other draft he wasn't even a top 10 player, maybe that's the thing. When you're drafted in sports, if it's a weak draft class, if you grade it weak, don't take the second best player. Take a risk. When it's a deep draft class and there's a strong 1, 2, 3, you take the best players. But when it's a weak class, you take a chance on Boogie Cousins or Paul George or whoever else was in that draft. That's what you do. Porzingis starts off as the unicorn, but will end up being my little pony. Man, Eric has been on the sauce at 8:30 in the AM. Most decorated college player coming out of the draft, but I remember reading an article to draft the best player, not the safest. And I just think when it's a safe draft, like the Evan Turner pick was a safe-ish pick, that's where they could have taken the chance. And looking back, if they took the chance and it didn't work out, then you realize, well, the other option was Evan Turner, and he didn't work out anyway, so whatever. I thought it was a good read. I thought I did a good job reading that one. Same write-up when it came to why the Sixers should trade up for Fultz, because staying at 3 and drafting Tatum was the safe choice, not the best choice. I hate sports. Yeah. Yeah. See, the thing is, though, we didn't have to trade up to take Fultz. The Celtics were taking Tatum. The Tatum-Fultz trade scenario is one of those conversations that I'm tired. It's just like the conversation of the Sixers chose to buy us over Jimmy Butler. No, they didn't. That was just that's just what they had to do. They didn't have to trade up to take Fultz. Tatum was going to the Celtics, 1, 2, or 3. The Lakers were taking Ball, 1 or 2. So the Sixers could have stayed at 3, kept their draft picks that they traded away, and still gotten Fultz. Nauseating. Need to rally for the cherry read. Well, I've got a pre-set up segue on that one. Oh, maybe not. Maybe I'll get it out of the way a little early. Go to Phillies versus Cubs and come see me, Eric R. I'll sign your Core 12 and stop shirts free of charge. Just say code words K18 TMC Gatekeeper, Mitch Ebu or Marshawn. I got you. I love it. That would be a bonus reason to go to Chicago to see the Phillies take on the Cubbies with PhillySportsTrips.com is because that's where Eric is. Would Eric be buying around for the court? If we all went out to Chicago to see the Phillies, would Eric be buying the first round at the bar for all of us? I think he would kind of have to buy the first round, right? It would be a requirement for him to buy the first round. Tatum was the player we needed to because we needed a wing player. We corrected that the next year with the Bridges pick. Yeah. I don't even need to read the rest of it. Like, I don't. But we were never getting Tatum at 3 or 1. You don't make that. Boston doesn't make that trade unless he's giving a 100% guarantee that we're not taking Tatum. That's it. Evan Turner would have been a 10-year starter in the 90s. Yeah, I agree with that to an extent. For him, he came into the league that started shooting 20-plus threes a game. Exactly. There's a lot of basketball players now that would have been better in a different era. Their styles just don't mesh with the current style of the game. I get that. First round, Eric. Well, Eric's already. I think Eric is on 3 today, at 8:30 in the morning, which is perfectly fine. $500 for everyone. Yeah, I wish. Eric's got like a secret Powerball stash or something. We won a round of Cape May IPA. I doubt Chicago has Cape May IPA. Adam, my guess is the Cape May IPAs or Cape May beer period hasn't made it out to Chicago. You know, Marshawn saying, not to mention we drafted Furkan Korkmaz, the Turkish MJ, 1 pick ahead of Siakam. Well, Pascal Siakam wasn't the Turkish MJ. How can you pass over a guy that's nickname is the Turkish MJ? You just can't do it. So, I don't think that was a regretful pick there. Just my opinion. The regretful pick was, not drafting Furkan earlier in the draft. The other people should have drafted him earlier in the draft. That's just my opinion. But, that's just me. That's just me speaking. The only hinky miss was drafting Okafor. Yeah, I can tell you something on that. First and foremost, I was a huge, huge fan of Okafor. Huge fan. Huge fan of Okafor. Wanted that guy, and his rookie year, I remember watching his first game of his career and with the Sixers. And I don't remember what it was, what game. I think it was game 1 or game 2. And he put a move on the defender. Like a quick jab step and blew right by him for a layup or dunk or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God, Okafor is the real deal. I'm like, I've never seen a 7-foot man with that quick of a first step in a post up. And boy, that was the only time I ever saw him do anything positive. That was the biggest miss of all. TLC, Timothy Luwawu Cabaret or whatever. I was close on that one. Timothy Luwawu Cabaret. Sam Adams and Miller High Life. That's all you drink? Or that's what you've drank this morning so far? Sorry, I'm taking out my jokes on Eric today. Okafor was definitely in the wrong era as well, for sure. Actually, I don't know. I mean, he was kind of soft on the glass, and he didn't have those 80s, 90s players had a lot of grit and fight and toughness. He didn't have the toughness either. I was too, but we didn't need Okafor for real. I agree. It was a bad pick. Corky is Mrs. Phyllis Huckleberry. Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much. You think we would win a title by now if we had Jason Tatum on our team? Has Jason Tatum won a title yet? Jason Tatum, no. Taking Tatum instead of Fultz would have changed the course of this the team. We might not have gone through the Ben Simmons drama. We might not have gone through the James Harden drama. We might not have gone through any drama. Like the dramas, the Jimmy Butler drama. The drama would have been different But I don't know if we win with Jason Tatum instead of some of those other guys. Do you think there's an era of basketball that Joel Embiid isn't a top-tier center? No. I mean, the only thing I could say is that he does get banged around. His body gets beaten up pretty bad and injury-prone pretty bad. And I don't want to get deep into it, but is there something to do with his upbringing and coming from Cameroon? Maybe his body just didn't do it. I don't know. But the 80s basketball was even harder and more physical than it is now. So I'm not sure his body would have held up long term. But when healthy, he would have been an elite center any era, for sure. Saw Joel hit the dream shake from the free throw line his first game, and I was sold. Yeah, absolutely. I remember what you're talking about, too. This era elephant room, I'm kidding, yeah. We could have traded back for Booker instead of Devin Booker. He's a really good player, but I think people got to stop putting him in that upper echelon super elite. Like, he's a top 20 player, but he's not close to the top 10. I still think Hinkie trades Simmons after his rookie year and gets a haul for him. It's possible, but we'll never know. Eric, he's definitely a top-tier center in this era and will be in the Hall of Fame, no doubt. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Didn't read that fully, Eric. Yeah. Guys, real quick, I want to get my next ad read in because we will be joined shortly by Sia Nejad, a very special guest, someone I've been waiting to have on this show for a while. So, with that being said, I want to make sure I get as majority of my ad reads in before he joins us at 9 a.m. as I can. So, real quick, guys, David R. Cherry of the Cherry Law Firm. If you get hurt at work, in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Law Firm. He is here to fight for you and get you what you deserve. He's a dedicated, well-established personal injury law lawyer built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of PA. If you've been seriously injured by the negligence of another, or if you have any questions for a Westchester immediate personal injury lawyer, give him a call. 610-565-030, 0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Again, let David R. Cherry fight for your rights. 610-565-0300, or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Yes, we always got to get the cherry bombs in. Is Nejad joining us soon? I need an answer. Well, we saved the Godfather Goodfellas question for the end of interviews, but he will be joining us at 9 a.m., which is about 15 minutes from now. And he loves movies. He's probably going to have some weird take and throw something else into it. Me and him have been disagreeing on some movie and TV takes lately on Twitter. Booker ain't close to Luka, that's for sure. Yeah, no. Not at all. Devin Booker, to me, you guys know my Sixers offseason takes. We've discussed them plenty. You know I don't want Donovan Mitchell as part of the Sixers. But this is just literally instantly popped in my head, and I haven't thought this through. So this might be totally wrong. But I would probably take Donovan Mitchell over Devin Booker on the Sixers. Not that Booker's available or anything, but I would. Booker was ascending to stardom, and they just kind of leveled off. Now, maybe that's because he's got Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant and a team that's constantly trying to change things up and bring in the next star. And he's got Chris Paul, then he does. The Suns haven't stuck to one plan. But I would probably take Donovan Mitchell over Devin Booker, and I don't think Donovan Mitchell's a winner. And of course, you wouldn't take Booker over Luka because Luka's one of the three best players in the NBA. It's him and it's Jokic, in my opinion, probably, at the top two people in the NBA. Giannis was the biggest miss during the 2.5-year process. If you know we are going to tank, why not have him as your developmental piece? Yeah. A lot of people passed on him. A lot of people did. You guys are nuts. We never had a shot at Luka, though. We did not. Atlanta, though. Atlanta's got to be kicking themselves in the ass on the Luka Trae Young trade. But Booker has fallen off a little. He was just ascending to stardom, and then leveled off. Is it because of the Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Bradley Beal, 14 new coaches? Is that the reason? I know he's been banged up the last year or two. Maybe that's part of it. But Devin Booker's he's really good. Not trying to say he's not good, but I don't put him in the upper echelon of NBA players. I know. Look, I'm trying to talk Phillies. I'm trying to talk Eagles. I'm trying to talk other things. Somehow we keep getting trapped back into the Sixers conversation. Dude, I would love Sam Hinkie. Because I would want to go through every bad move that Colangelo, Brand, Morey have done and ask him what would he have done in those scenarios. If anybody's got Sam Hinkie's number, you send it to me. I will get him on the show. If you find a way to get me in contact with him, Eric, I'll get him on. Hell, Eric, you find a way to get Sam Hinkie on, you can be part of the interview with him. Miami Heat went to the finals with Jimmy Butler and a cast of role players. Maybe the Sixers just don't know what they're doing. I've had this conversation a lot in the last 2 weeks. You don't need 3 stars. You need 2 stars and an elite team around him. Then, bench players, role players, depth, people that know their role. Know your role and shut your mouth. Celtics are going to sweep the Mavs, and now I'm depressed again. Yeah. I really thought the Mavs had a chance last night, and they made that comeback last night. I'm like, oh, yeah. I had a same-game parlay, and all of it hit. And I didn't take the Mavs plus 6.5. I forget. I stretched. I lowered the odds a little bit and stretched it to like plus 9.5 or plus 8.5, plus 9.5. I forget what I put on it. And when they were making their comeback, I'm like, oh, this parlay is going to hit. They're going to lose by 5 or 6, and that's it. Then I turned it off somewhere at the end of the third quarter, beginning of fourth, to go move up to the bedroom, to put it on in the bedroom. And the 5 minutes it took for me to go from the living room to the bathroom to take my meds and brush my teeth and go to bed, turn the game on, it was 20 points again. I was like, what the hell? Booker is soft. Yeah, possibly. We're not talking about bringing Booker here, just so you know, Steve. That wasn't part of it. We're just talking about soft players and stuff. If your guests say Pulp Fiction over Gallagher, I've often thought I want to do a deep dive conversation one day in Pulp Fiction. I sometimes think it's overrated, but then sometimes I think it's underrated. And I just don't know. It's either way overrated or way underrated, in my opinion. And I'm not sure. A topic for another show. What is your ultimate dream team you can put legends and current players to? Maybe like a top 20 list. It's so hard to do top lists like that because of different eras. Some of them I didn't watch play. Maybe I could do a top 20 NBA players of the last 30 years. So at least players I've seen play. I don't know. Booker would be a better fit on Philly. Dude dropped 71s and does get hurt a lot. Yeah. A reinvigorated Booker might be scary. Might be up there with a Luka. Just think things are stale. I think stale. I was going to use the word unstable in Phoenix. Phoenix has been a very unstable franchise for a few years now. I'd honestly rather talk lacrosse than the freaking Sixers. The Wooder Dogs, they lost game 1 last week, and I don't know if they played. I don't know what the PLL schedule's like. I don't know if it's every day, every week, every month. I don't know. Or randomly, like the Union. But I know the PLL is going on right now. I laughed so hard when Atlanta did that trade. I never thought Trey was good. He was better than I thought he'd be. Trey, even when he was drafted out of college, what was he, like 18, 19 years old? He's still at 19 years old, had a 55-year-old man hairline. How can you draft a guy with a 55-year-old hairline at the beginning of his career? On a mission. We're on a mission. Take a ride on that fantastic ride. See that? Take on a mission made me think of that Coolio song, Fantastic Voyage. So you know. Miami also had the best coach. I don't think Eric Spoelstra gets enough credit for how great of a head coach he is. He may be the best head coach in the NBA. If not, he's one of the 2 or 3 best. Marchand for sure. Eric Spoelstra, fantastic head coach, with one of the greatest executives of all time in Pat Riley as well. No doubt about it. At all. Right there. Phil talking like a classic degenerate. What am I, a degenerate? I'm no degenerate. We should have chosen Kyrie over Harden. Probably looking back on things, hindsight's 2020. But yeah, we should have. How close did the Mavs get? I think they cut it to 8. So they were down 29 in the second quarter. They closed it to like 23 right before halftime, and then went on a run in the third quarter. It got to about, it might have been 7, but I think it was 8. It might have been 7. I don't remember. But then it got out of hand really quickly. They took Luka out for like a minute and a half, and when they took Luka out, it's just like when you take Joel Embiid out of a game, shit hit the fan, crash and burn really quick. Maury didn't know who Kyrie was. Probably not. Kill Bill is greater than Pulp Fiction. Wow. I don't know. This is a weekend Twitter poll. Okay, Marshawn? Versus Pulp Fiction. I gotta find a way to put this up to the vote on Twitter. This is a tough one. Because Pulp Fiction is either way better than I realize or way worse than I think it is. Kill Bill? I don't know. It's very unique. Man, you've stumped me on this one, Marshawn. I don't know. I need a day. Bring this up on Monday or Tuesday. I need a few days to think about this one, Marshawn, for sure. Reservoir Dogs is better than Pulp Fiction. I agree with that. That did not stump me at all. Do a best top 5 lineup. Maybe power rankings of WWIP. Gas bags, yeah. Who would have thought we would have been at Spike versus Nick this week? This weekend recap: Spike versus Nick. Yeah. Trae Young came in the NBA built like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, pretty much. Yeah. We are Degeneration X. We make your rules, and you make the rules, and we will break them. That's right, yeah. Boston will win because Doc Rivers is nowhere near the team anymore. Yeah, that is true. Anywhere we can leave a Glenn Rivers joke. Pulp Fiction is that movie that everyone has seen but just never had interest in seeing. Everyone has that movie. Pulp Fiction is that movie that everyone has seen but just never had interest in seeing. Yeah, I'm not running out to go watch Pulp Fiction, but when it's on, I'm captivated by it. Is that a good description? And this comment by G's is great. I was sharing the show out on Twitter a few minutes ago as we were talking, and I noticed there's people that are commenting on Twitter, but not on the video. They're commenting on my Twitter. You got to open the video up like Jeeves is doing here, and then you comment on the show through the video. But if you comment under the video in a tweet form, I can't. So there's a few people commenting on Twitter itself. I can't see your comments. You got to click on the video, open it up in your phone or your computer, and comment that way. That's how I see your comment. But the others, I can't see them unless you want to buy me a third computer just for Twitter off to the side. 6 minutes to Nejad. 6 minutes to Nejad. Testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Guys, if you don't know Sia is a fantastic guy. Sia Nejad, I mean, I don't even know how to introduce him when he joins the show because he's done so much. I'm going to ask him the Kill Bill versus, I know we have to get the Goodfellas versus Godfather question in, but I'm going to need Sia Nejad's expert opinion on Kill Bill versus Pulp Fiction. I'm going to have to. I mean, I'm torn. I'm stuck. I don't know how to answer that question. Guys, final sponsor of the day before Sia joins us here is Dolan's Bar. For 65 plus years, Dolan's Bar in Ridley Park has been the quintessential Irish-American dive bar. They have great food, great drinks, great music, great times. They have great memorabilia giveaways regularly. Sometimes former Philly sports icons just randomly walk through the door. Stay local. Stay in Ridley Park, 24 East Sellers Avenue. Dolan's Bar, dolansbar.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. If you go in there, tell PJ, the boss man there, ELP, Trending in the AM is where you heard about them. Again, you have to try to work something out to do a on-location morning show from Dolan's Bar somehow. Have some Bloody Marys and talk sports in the morning from Dolan's Bar. Again, dolansbar.com, 65 plus years. Check them out. Ad read's done for the week, guys. Notes go off to the side. Phil, all of the comments say is John Cena. Yeah. Goodfellas all day. Well, we talk about this every time we have a guest on. And it's a tough call. And the problem is the Goodfellas versus Godfather comment is tough because I think Godfather 2 is better than Godfather. Just so you know. So I would put Godfather 2 over Godfather 1. And then it's neck and neck with Goodfellas. That's right. It's the Irish. The luck of the Irish. Howie Roseman deserves credit for locking up A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. Absolutely. Then you got gold standard nut job Joe Banner out there because he can't get a job in the NFL, criticizing the Eagles, criticizing Devontae Smith, criticizing Devontae Smith's agent. Howie Roseman is on another level. Not just because Justin Jefferson broke the bank, Mitchie, but you got CD and Jamar Chase holding out. You got those guys causing drama. And once Justin Jefferson's price got set, now the price has gone up for CD Lamb. Jerry Jones is screwing up the Cowboys, and I love it. Howie Roseman is setting the Eagles up for long-term success. Now, will we win a Super Bowl or not? We'll find out. Stay tuned, right? But in theory, Howie Roseman is setting this team up, big picture, for huge success. And you got to love it. Whispers, I'll take Inglourious Bastards and Kill Bill over Pulp Fiction. I don't know. I'm torn on it. Now you're throwing... I'm struggling with the Kill Bill versus Pulp Fiction. And now Deebs has to throw Inglourious Bastards into it, too. So now I got to, rank those three movies. But they're three movies that are very tough to rank. Because Inglourious Bastards is a little different than Kill Bill and Pulp Fiction, in theory. I don't know. I don't know this question here. I'm so torn. I've never been so torn on a movie comment as I am right now. I've never seen Django Unchained, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure. But you're taking pretty much everything over Pulp Fiction. So Deebs is on the side of Pulp Fiction is probably overrated, which is weird. So I don't know if it's overrated or underrated. I can't remember. Do a morning show at Dolan's. I hope either. I know you will be. And figure out a reason to get Dolan's Bar to open up at 8 a.m. for a trending in the a.m. morning. Maybe we can bring back Wing Bowl at Dolan's Bar. Since Wing Bowl's been gone, we'll redo Wing Bowl at Dolan's, and trending in the AM will be the centerpiece that kickstarts this new trend. It's actually not a bad idea. Might have to call it something else other than Wing Bowl. That's probably got some kind of legal thing attached to it because of WWIP. Jackie Brown is criminally underrated. And I don't know if I've seen it more than one or two times. K1 straight through. I don't judge a movie till I've seen it straight through multiple times. You see it once and you catch bits and pieces on replay. That doesn't count. Straight through. I've probably only seen it maybe once. Straight through. Maybe twice. I'd have to watch it straight through a few more times. It's been probably a dozen years since I've watched it. Sixers need to draft Embiid's replacement. Wow. He's about to sign a 3-year extension, mister. So, which I think next week we're going to cover that. And I got a title written down here somewhere in my notes for a show title for next week on that. And I kind of think the Joel Embiid extension is going to be a mistake. You can't get rid of him, but I think it's going to be a mistake. Nobody laughed at John Cena comment. Come on, you can't see me. I don't know. I think the John Cena, whenever anybody comments on a picture and John Cena's in there too, it's like practice or playoffs. It's so overdone. The John Cena, you can't see me jokes are overplayed, Eric. Sorry. Excuse me. Allergies are just brutal, guys. With that being said, we're going to transition here a little bit here. And like I told you guys about 20, 30 minutes ago when I was hyping up this part of the show, I don't know how to introduce this gentleman here. This gentleman here, he's done it all. From being a lawyer to playing in the World Series of Poker to becoming a gambling expert to now using his platform to transition into motivation, inspiration, mental health awareness, like literally everything. So I don't even know how to introduce you, Sia, but welcome to the morning show, Sia.
Honestly, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. That probably was the best way to introduce me. I really appreciate all the accolades. It's been quite the transition over the last 7, 8, 9 years from,
Mhm.
certain professions to professions. And now I'm here in the media space. Obviously, do a lot of gambling stuff, but like you said, do a lot of motivational type content. And I'm just really happy to do it. So you invited me on the show. Just I can talk about it more, or we can talk about sports, or I know you were talking about movies. I love
Oh,
chopping it
we,
up,
we, we
talking
do
about all
movies
of it.
we do movies every day, and we save it for the end of the interviews. There's always I'll preview it. You can think about it as we're talking. Every guest has to answer Goodfellas versus Godfather. That's an every show, every
Mhm.
guest question that we close with. So we'll get to that. I love you. And I don't mean this to kind of. It sounds like I'm like playing up to the guest and everything like that when I say things like this, but you're a very big inspiration to me because
Thank
I'm
you.
trying. I'm in the early stages of where you were in this transition, into a different career. I own a restaurant. I'm a pizza shop guy. This is something that started as a hobby that's moving into more of a serious thing that I take very seriously. And I love to see that, some people would like kind of look down on changing goals in life as you go along. And you've talked a lot on your Sia Nejad Sports Network with your guests about like setting goals in life and how to find a way to actually get that goal accomplished. So when you're a lawyer and you're transitioning from that to something else, like at what point in your life did you realize I want to do more? I want to do something different. And how did you set yourself up for that?
Yeah, it's such a complicated question, even though it doesn't sound like one,
No,
because
it,
the truth is I'm always trying to do something different, even right now. I mean, what I mean by that, I don't mean professionally. I just mean like I'm always chasing doing more. I'm always trying to have more of an impact. But when it started, listen, I practiced law for 13 years. I was yes, it is a Santana Moss poster behind me. And you say why? And here's the reason, because and this is very discreet. This is such a good observation from the chat, and I'll get to my answer in a second. He's holding up the 21 for Sean Taylor. And so that's really less a Santana Moss poster behind me, and it's more of a shout out to Sean Taylor, who I think is you guys are going to hate me for saying this. I think he's the best safety ever. I know Brian Dawkins is in that conversation, as is Ed Reed. But anyway, that's something we could talk about another day. Obviously, tragically passed in 2007. Um, yeah, when I was practicing law, I would say about 5 years into practicing law, I was uninterested in doing it the rest of my life. The problem for me was I didn't know what to do, because we all think we have certain skill sets, and we're not exactly sure how to jump out of a career or jump into a new career. Well, it turns out, real quick, long story short, a guy I used to play poker with, you mentioned the World Series of Poker main event, which I played in 2018. A guy I used to play poker with was a manager at a pharma company, and he kind of recruited me out of law. I actually did pharma sales at a dermatology company for like 3 or 4 years. And while I was doing that, I had time to break into the media. And so I just slowly had the wheels turning. And it turns out I was kind of doing both at the same time, pharma during the day, most of the media at night. And I got to a point where I was getting so much media stuff to do that I just decided, all right, here I am. I'm going to make the jump. And while I did that, Phil, I started the Sia Nejad sports thing, because I realized I really like doing the sports media stuff. I like doing the sports handicapping, but I think I can do more. Even though I don't think I have the time for it, I want to try to do more. And so that's where the Sia Nejad Sports and the Twitter spaces. By the way, Sia Nejad Sports is my channel on YouTube. I know this is a channel on YouTube too. Please come and subscribe to it. We've had a lot of incredible guests, as you'll see on there. But yeah, I keep trying to chase doing more. And Phil, the bottom line for me is I'm trying to have impact on people. I'm trying to like put smiles on faces. It sounds so silly and so cliche and so like contrived, but that's genuinely my mission. And so that's why I don't want to just be thought of as a lawyer or a sports handicapper or a sports media host. I want to be way more than that. And I think we all should try to. I know we don't have the schedule to necessarily do it, but I think we should all try to do that.
But it's the positive way you go about it and using your platform. I mean, I do the show every single day, 90 minutes a day, and we talk all different topics on the show. But something that constantly comes up on this show, and I'm sure it's in every city, not just in Philadelphia, the negativity from the main media. They all have these huge platforms. I've got a smaller platform here,
Mm-hmm.
but these major sites and these major names, and locally and nationally, big platforms. and they use it to spread negativity. And you've built a very large platform. I mean, you've worked with, countless different groups, Win Daily Sports, you're on Sirius XM, you've worked with Jonathan Coachman, you got to see that you've taken your platform that you've built from your gambling and also used it to try to spread positivity, to try to spread helping people. And I feel like people are afraid to use their platforms for good. But yet, I wish more people would do what you're doing. And yeah, you can have your sports takes, but then also use your platform to help people.
So Phil, the problem is the stuff that gets the clicks and the stuff that gets the attention. And K1, I'm not gonna fully disagree with you. I mean, listen, Ed Reed, Brian Dawkins, Sean Taylor, if that's the order you want to put in, I'm not going to disagree with that. Oh, I am going to disagree with it, but I'm not going to take issue with it because I think that's a lot of people probably have that order. But the problem, back to my answer, I love the interaction. The Sean Taylor, like I want to bring up Sean Taylor every moment I can. Go back on YouTube and watch some of his stuff. It's really, I know it was a small sample size, obviously. It's really unbelievable stuff, both at Miami and at Washington. But the stuff that gets the clicks is the negative stuff. And so that's the problem. So here's what I found. When I started doing the Sia Nejad Sports, I had some subscribers. I'm not even at 1,000 yet, and I haven't been doing as many interviews just in the last, month or so. But the point is, like, I should probably have more subscribers there for that motivational and whatever you want to call it, mental health oriented subject matter. I have a Discord space that there's a handful of people in. It's a free Discord that people can join. It's really more about it's all about positivity and goal setting and just supporting each other and things like that. I do a Twitter Spaces every other Thursday. And the reason I'm advertising all that isn't to say, hey, look at me, this is what I do. It's that those things, and I'm not mad about it. I'm just pointing something out. Those things get about, I don't know, 5 to 10% of the attention as the typical sports media stuff that you and I, Phil, do, or the sports handicapping stuff that I do. When I have a winner in golf or Major League Baseball first five or NFL prop, like, and I put it on Twitter and I put the check mark next to it, I might get 80 to 150 likes and some quote tweets and retweets. When I put something about like motivation or positivity or something like that, it might get 12 or 20. And again, I'm not mad about it. I'm just pointing out, what are we responding to? And so the frustration when we do some of this content that is not sports oriented, that is not negative, the stuff that's getting the clicks, the frustration is that's not getting as much attention. But the reality is, the impact that's having on the few people that are actually paying attention to it is so much more important than the impact the other stuff is having on the 100 or 200 people that are responding to your, whether it be negative or sports handicapping stuff, whatever the case may be. So we can't look at it from like a global, like, well, this is getting this many likes and this is getting this many likes, because the fewer likes on this side might be having way more impact to the individual than the likes you're having on the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, and this is not to prop up what I do here either when I say this, but it's like I've constantly had people tell me privately and in the comments of the show that, I've been doing this show for about 2.5, almost 3 years now, every single day. And it's like, well, if you would just start your show off saying something like, Jalen Hurts is the worst quarterback in the world, the Eagles should cut him right now, then all of a sudden those clicks and those likes, and it would all blow up, you know what I mean, and get bigger. I'm like, my goal has always been, and you are part of, and again, not to prop you up as a guest here, you and a couple others are part of the reasons why I keep it, I guess using the word positive, that power of positivity, or at least very respectable. You don't necessarily have to take the negative approach as long as you're helping 20 people see the positive in things versus 200 seeing the negative in things.
Right.
I don't understand how these people that use negativity to promote themselves look at themselves in the mirror and say they're happy with themselves when they're doing that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we all trick ourselves into defining what success is. And so if our definition of success is number, and listen, I'm looking for followers too. I'm looking for all those things that those people are looking for too. But if your definition of success is how much money you make, how many followers you have, those types of parameters, then it's very easy to immerse yourself in the negativity because you're going to get the responses to those things. You're going to get that type of feedback. You're going to get the following. But I mean, the question becomes long-term, are you happy with that? And some people might be. For me, and here's the thing, Phil, like, I think you can, first of all, compliments to you doing an hour and a half from 8 to 9:30. First of all, I love your background. I love the studio feel, your mic, like everything is very professional with what you do. I'm serious, like, because a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't build out the studio behind them. They don't have the great mic or whatever the case may be. And those little things are really important. So I commend you for doing that every single day, the hour and a half, but it's okay to immerse yourself in negativity sometimes. I don't want to pretend that I don't say negative stuff, or I don't criticize people. I'm sure you do as well, but that can't be the theme of everything that you do. And if it is, you're probably doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit. I mean, obviously you've had some great interviews, and I want to get to those interviews in a minute. But you've started doing these every other week spaces, and I was really busy last night, and then I ended up watching the NBA Finals a little bit last night. So I haven't caught last night's replay of the spaces last night. But you've kind of gravitated to doing these every other Thursday night spaces. You had a great guest last night. I'm sure talked some great stuff. Then you open it up to the people to talk and ask questions. What gave you the idea to start these Twitter spaces or X spaces, whatever they're called now? And what could my listeners here, if they want to find you on Twitter at Sia Nejad, what can they expect during these? They're about an hour and change long spaces that you host.
It started from my Sia Nejad sports stuff. Again, that's my channel on YouTube, which I probably started like, I don't know, a year and a half ago. It's relatively new. And I know somebody mentioned Coach on here. Coach was one of my first guests on the show. I've had Daniel Negreanu.
No, not to cut you off. Yeah. Out of all the interviews you've done, and I've watched almost every single one of them, that episode that you had on the Sia Nejad Sports Network with the coach literally changed my perception of what I am doing right now.
Wow.
And the fact that I'm trying to push it further and push it harder in my life and all. And I just want to, I know I've tweeted, or I've private messaged that, but publicly, if anybody needs motivation, just go watch that coach interview that you had.
Yeah.
I mean, it was very, very impactful on me.
And he's a very impactful person with his words, and he means it. And I like to think all the guests that I've had on do in a certain way, but Coach does it certainly in a different way, where it really is super impactful. But yeah, I've had, like you said, Coach Daniel Negreanu, David Meltzer, who some of you might know, entrepreneur, former NFL agent, motivational speaker. I had Kylan Young on. If you watch Big Brother or The Challenge, Kylan Young was my last guest. I've had, and I'm leaving out Rick Gaiman, Pat Mayo have been on that show. So the Twitter Spaces kind of started from that, where I realized that I wanted to do more of this stuff where I'm bringing out things from other people that are completely outside the sports handicapping space. I mean, honestly, the Sia Nejad Sports name on YouTube, I'll probably have to change it one day because it's a little misleading, because it's not a sports show at all. It just happens to be mostly with sports oriented personalities. But the Twitter Spaces thing, like, listen, I just wanted a platform for people to talk. Like, that's all it is. If you notice, every other Thursday, the last two, we've had a guest to kind of kick off the show, but usually it's just, we start the space at 8:00. I say some preliminary words, and then we'll have like people kind of trickle in. Maybe it might only be 10 people, it might be 15, it might be 25, whatever it is. And then we'll just start talking, and people will ask me questions about something they want to know about, not about me, but about like what my response is to something that's going on in their life. Or they might want to come up and update on, because they've been a part of every single space, they might want to update the group on, hey, this is my progress since, for example, yesterday after David Bileski spoke, and he talked about addiction and alcoholism, and it was kind of in the wake of the Grayson Murray death, and he's a recovering alcoholic. He had a lot to say about people's perspective on alcoholics and how it might be different than you think. And by the way, that is pinned to my Twitter. So if you want to go back and listen to the first 20 minutes, and you'll hear pretty much all of what David Bileski has to say. But we usually start it like that, and we just open the floor to people to like speak their mind. Like yesterday, we had this guy Moshe come on, who's a follower of mine, and he said, "Hey, ever since we started this, I've lost 30 pounds. I've gotten on a regimen where I run, and I'm writing my goals down, and like all these things that like we preach on these Twitter Spaces. He's actually actively putting them into play, and like that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it so that people like him can come up and be like, what should I do? And then 6, 8, 10, 14 weeks later say, hey, I did that thing. Check this out. So that's what it's for. It's an open forum. It's very informal. Anybody can speak. Literally, if you request to speak, I'm going to bring you up. You're going to speak. You can make a comment. You can ask a question. You can give advice. You can do whatever you want every other Thursday at 8:00.
Yeah, and you mentioned you do a lot to inspire and motivate, but you also do, and you mentioned Grayson Murray there, and we talked about that on this show and on my golf show when it happened. You do spend time and plenty of time using your platform to bring awareness to mental health issues out there as well, and it's something that I talk about, unfortunately, far too often on this show is athletes and their mental health spaces. I mean, we always talk about athletes in this way or that way. They're a bust or they're not, or
Mhm.
they stink or they don't stink. But then you see the things like Grayson Murray when that happens, and then you see how other athletes are treated by fans and media. Um, we kind of forget that athletes and celebrities are human beings as well, and they're
Yeah.
struggling just
Mhm.
as much as you and I are in these kind of scenarios, and maybe the criticism from the fans, but just in life in general.
So, you know what's so interesting about that, Phil, is people will look at that comment you just made and they'll be like, "No, they're not struggling as much. They're not struggling as much as I." Like they're a millionaire. They've been catered to their whole
Mhm.
lives. And the reality is that response to what Phil just said is actually the reason not only that they're suffering potentially as much, but sometimes suffering more. I'll give you a really good example, Phil. And I think people really need to capture this and start putting themselves in other people's shoes for a second. I know we think we do that, but
Mhm.
let's stop and think about an athlete. Let's say an athlete that didn't make it to the NBA. I've lived with some athletes back in my days living in Richmond, Virginia. I lived with a couple of basketball players who were very, very good college basketball players who ended up getting injured and just kind of like fell off the map, most college athletes do, and then having to deal with the reality of getting a normal job, applying for a job, getting rejected from a job, not being qualified for a job, all of those things. And the thing about that rejection that's so interesting is that those people have never been rejected in their entire lives. In fact, they've been catered to their entire lives. They've been told they are the man or the woman, if it's a female, like whatever the case may be. They have been absolutely catered to. They've been heroes in their hometowns. They've been heroes in their high school. They've been the captain of the football team or whatever it is, the leader at the pep rally. They go to college. They're continuing to be catered to. They have these NBA aspirations, and then all of a sudden it's gone. And so imagine that cliff. Imagine falling from that cliff and applying for a job that you don't want, that you never thought you would need. And maybe you even get the job. And you're like, oh, this is my life now. Imagine the perspective of that person who has these unbelievably high goals that seem very, very achievable. And then all of a sudden being put on the same platform as, I hate to reduce it to like Phil, like you and me, but it's true. Like we're not athletes at this point in our lives, and nor were we ever college athletes. I don't know, maybe you were, but I wasn't a college basketball player or anything. So the point is like that fall from grace, that fall from getting all the attention to getting no attention and just being another regular person. I know some people are like, oh, woe is me. You were still great for all of those years. But what you have to appreciate is that fall. And even an NBA player who doesn't make it, like
Mhm.
who maybe got a few million and then just kind of falls out of the league or is getting all this criticism, you are assuming they know how to handle this criticism, but they don't because they've never had to handle it before. So we have to appreciate that. That doesn't mean there's not fault in a guy like Kevin Durant, who sometimes doesn't handle the criticism right his
Mhm.
entire career. Like we can still criticize that person, but we also have to appreciate where they're coming from. And it's from a place where they've never had to deal with it before, and now they do.
I mean, obviously, with the Grayson Murray had the tragic end, obviously, to all his struggles. But do you think leagues? Because like this came up recently this week because we were talking Sixers and all the mistakes they made throughout the last 10 years with their team. And Michael Carter Williams, he was a former Rookie of the Year for the Sixers, and he really struggled in his career living up to the hype. And he did. I don't know if it was the Player Tribune or on the Athletic. There was a big features self-written story that he did, to kind of get off his chest some of his mental struggle issues. And you see Grayson Murray not being able to handle it. You see, if you read the Michael Carter Williams article, you see that it took him till he went to his fourth or fifth team. I think it was the Charlotte Hornets. So they actually had people in their building to help players with struggles. Do you think leagues or teams need to do more? You got to think about it, especially with basketball. You got 18-year-old kids becoming professional athletes, lots of money, lots of fame. Maybe the leagues have to step in or the teams have to step in and have more help on staff to help these people with these struggles.
It's an interesting question. I know leagues do that to a degree, but I don't know the degree to which they do it. For example, I know in the NFL, when rookies come in, there's typically a program that they have to go through. I might be overstating this. I think it's all rookies that have to go through some sort of,
Well,
it's not
there's
a
a rookie.
program.
It's called the Rookie Symposium.
There
It's
you
like a
go. Thank
3-day
you.
event, but they talk about the playbook, like the rules of like gambling. They talk about
Mm,
money management. It's like a lot of information. It's like a 3-day college course,
yeah.
basically. So it's not focused just on the potential struggles they might face mentally speaking.
Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that because I wasn't sure. I just remember vaguely hearing about that.
We talk
No.
about it all the time because of the gambling aspect of
Yeah.
players getting in trouble, that it can't be a 1-hour conversation anymore at the Rookie Symposium. It needs to be a bigger,
Yeah.
lesson that's being taught to these kids. So we talk about that symposium a lot on this show.
Yeah, and I think they do. I think they do need to do more because I think the real problem, and this is something David Bileski spoke to on the Twitter Spaces yesterday. He was so eloquent in speaking to it, by the way, is that like we sort of have this sense about what these falls are. Like when anybody takes a fall, whether it's in the mental health realm or otherwise, like it's seen as like not masculine. It's seen as like a weak thing, and really the weak thing is not addressing it, right? The strength, what when you address a problem that you clearly have and you like really truly address it, you're introspective, you and you internally think and you're like, all right, I need to, like, there's strength in doing that. The weak thing is actually not even being introspective. The weak thing is not looking inside and figuring out what the problem might be and how to maybe address it. So yeah, I do think the leagues can do more. And because honestly, let's be honest, across all of these sports, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, or I mean, even hockey, name the sport, like these are kids coming in and they don't really have necessarily the life skills that they need. Frankly, non-athletes don't have the life skills they need when they graduate college. So I don't know why we would think athletes would, considering what their trajectory is, just constantly being involved in sports. So yeah, I think the leagues, absolutely, if they implement these programs, or if the teams implement these programs, then the stigma of whatever these mental health issues are, it'll weaken because it's now being acknowledged globally that, hey, like these are issues you need to address. We need to address with you. If you make it mandatory to some degree, then they realize, oh, this is a part of the fabric of my life. This isn't just something that people deal with that have quote, air quote, issues.
Yeah, because regular average Joe schmoes like me, we struggle with these same issues. I don't talk about my
Right.
issues publicly. I'm still not at the point of feeling comfortable addressing some of the things I deal with. But if the pros or the famous people, and it's actors and musicians, it's not just athletes, if they learn to handle and talk publicly about it,
Mhm.
maybe it'll break down some barriers that some regular people feel embarrassed about talking about their struggles, and then maybe you'll see less people losing their battle with those mental health things.
Right. I think people don't even know like where to go if they have struggles. I mean, I think that's part of the reason I do these Twitter spaces and I have this free Discord, is so that there is a platform. Like somebody said yesterday, this was so cool about like, again, my Discord, it's not a big thing, it's probably got, I don't feel it's probably got 30 to 35 people in it at this point. And it'll continue to go. I don't advertise it a ton. If you want to be a part of it, let me know, message me. I'll send you the link. It's also attached to the Twitter space yesterday, but somebody said something really cool to me yesterday on the Twitter space. It was Moshi, the guy who lost 30 pounds. He said, we were talking about how there's just kind of a lot of negativity everywhere. And he said, what I love about this Discord, which we call Motivate Better Together, MBT. He said, what I love about it is I'm pre-conditioned, I'm pre-programmed to come in there with a positive attitude. And it was like, it's like a subconscious thing for him, which I absolutely love, because we see this negativity. We see if we admit to being weak in a certain area on whatever platform it is, let's call it Twitter, like we're going to be seen a certain way. But if you have a place where you can talk about stuff like that and not be judged and not be considered weak, then it's just going to be like a much safer space. So I think we need to create that just in our conversation, so that if somebody does come out on Twitter and say it, now he or she can be embraced instead of be potentially kind of looked down upon or criticized.
We've got about 5 more minutes left here. Again, we're talking to Sia Nejad of the Sia Nejad Sports Network. Make sure you guys find them everywhere. And obviously, I got 5 minutes. I gotta talk. I gotta ask you the movie questions and stuff. But K1's saying compulsive gambling is a disease as well, but we encourage it endlessly. It's weird. You do a lot. Like your start in these spaces were in the gambling field. Obviously, we constantly see athletes struggling to stay away from it and constantly getting in trouble. Thoughts on K1's comment there, and just in general, whenever there's another athlete that gets suspended, we always talk about, I've always got people commenting that these leagues are getting in bed advertising wise. So what do they expect? Thoughts on that comment, but just in general, the theory of gambling and where it's, headed right now.
Yeah, I mean that comment is more global because obviously he's
Yeah.
also referring to anybody who gambles. I
Absolutely.
assume that's what he's referring to.
Yes.
And here's the thing: it's all about how we frame it. When it comes to advertising on gambling, there's a lot of it. But FYI, and I'm not defending the gambling, the sports books, but FYI, I don't think anybody's selling you the idea of, hey, gamble on this game or do this, like we've got this promotion for this 50% boost parlay. This is going to be your income instead of this 9-to-5 job that you have. If that's your attitude, if your attitude is, this is going to be my income, or this is going to be a big supplement to my 9-to-5 or whatever my occupation is, well, then you're doing it wrong. So I think we need to frame this properly. Again, I don't think DraftKings or FanDuel is coming out being like, drop your job, check out these 3-leg parlays, because now you're going to have more time on your hands than anything, because all you have to do is sports bet. I think we need to kind of be grounded and understand sports betting is mostly for fun. Even for me, who's been doing it for many, many years, it's largely for fun. I might have a bet that I love a few times a year, and I put maybe a little bit too much money on it than I should. But even then, we're not talking thousands of dollars here. I mean, it's very often that my bets are $30 or $40 and honestly, there's a lot of people that have $10 or $20 bets. And so I think the long and short of it, we need to frame what gambling actually is. It's not a supplement to our income. It's not our exclusive income. It's an activity that's fun, that for me prevents me on a Saturday night during college football season or any season going out to a bar and spending $60 on a round of drinks for my friends and myself and maybe an appetizer. Instead, I'm going to spend $30 on Oregon against Washington, minus 3.5. So, I mean, that's sort of how I look at gambling, an absolute fun activity with pizza money largely. But if we look at it in any other way, that's when that compulsivity, that impulsivity becomes very dangerous. And we've got to get out of that frame of mind.
I mean, and that's exactly where I'm at. Obviously we hit a Fairway to Heaven every Tuesday night, and we talk gambling on golf and stuff like that, Jason and I. And I don't even bet that big. And I was a big gambler when I was back before it was legal. I had a bookie and whatnot.
Yep.
And it got out of hand.
Yeah.
And young, stupid me, didn't know how to control it, but it took really hard work. And before we wrap this up, you're always talking about, I forget which interview it was, but you talked about betting on oneself and setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I've always done. I've just never pushed forward on it. And the gambling aspect of it, when I bet a golfer outright, I'm betting $2, $3.
Yeah.
When I'm betting on a football and Eagles game, I'm betting $5.
Mm-hmm.
It's more for the fun, what I mean? And the entertainment, like you say, but there still is a problem with it. So, there just needs to be more, just like we talked about, more teaching about mental health. There's just got to be more teaching and more, I don't know what the right word is, explaining to people how you just explained it as a fun thing to do versus a get-rich-quick scheme.
You should be gambling for the fun of the activity, not for the potential supplemental income it might provide.
Okay. All right. So we normally have one question that we end every interview with, and it's Goodfellas versus Godfather. But about 30 minutes before you joined, someone threw an extra movie thing in. So I got 2 movie questions for you, because the first one, the new one, I have no idea how to answer it. And somebody said, ask about Kill Bill versus Pulp Fiction. And then obviously you got to answer the Goodfellas Godfather question, which is the question every guest has to get.
I'm going to be the first guest that your audience is going to hate on the second question. So I'll answer that first. I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I've never seen The Godfather. I'm just, for whatever I saw, I'm sorry. I don't know why. I'm just not into it. Maybe I should be. I've seen Goodfellas, so I have to by default take Goodfellas over Godfather, because at least I took the time to watch Goodfellas. I'm really sorry about that answer, but I have a better answer for you, Phil, and audience, on this other one. Kill Bill versus Pulp Fiction. It's not close.
Okay.
Phil, everyone out there, K1, Eric, Adam, there was somebody who gave me a really nice compliment. Steve Fuentes gave me a really nice compliment. Thank you for that.
This is the comments that you're seeing right now. I call it the core 12. It's the 20 or 30 people that tune in every single day religiously. They're always helping me out. Just call the core 12. They're the core 12.
Core 12, Brad included. It's Pulp Fiction, and it's not close. Pulp Fiction over Kill Bill.
Because I'm still stunned or stuck on it because I love Kill Bill, but I think in my mind either Pulp Fiction is one of the greatest things ever made, or is it? Then I think to myself, is it the most overrated thing ever made? And I'm not sure which one it is, and I really struggle with that because I've seen Pulp Fiction 100 times. I've only seen Kill Bill like 4 or 5 times, and every time I watch Pulp Fiction, I walk away loving it or completely hating it every single time.
I think when you think to like what Tarantino was doing, I mean, did he write the screenplay? I know he directed. He probably didn't write I know, Godfather. I'm sorry, K1. I think the script is so unique and the acting is so unique that it just, to me, it just kind of stands alone.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. All right, Sia, we got Sia Nejad Sports Network. I'm going to message you after the show because I was trying to share your Discord link in the description of this. I'll get the link from you after the show, and I'll put it in next week's show. Anybody that wants to follow him on Discord, it'll be in next week's show's links once I get it. What do you got coming up over the next week or two? Any special guests that you've got lined up, your next spaces or your next interview on the channel? Give me some of that information for everybody.
I'm glad you're asking because I don't have a Sia Nejad sports interview lined up yet, but I'm going to have one. This is actually kind of inspiring me to like get a handle on that and get a good guest coming up. Twitter Space won't be this coming Thursday. It'll be the next Thursday. No guest for that yet, but I'll probably have somebody lined up. But honestly, it's all the people in the Twitter Space that are truly the quote guests. So I'm not necessarily stuck on having a guest each time there. Other stuff, listen, Phil, the U.S. Open's coming up. I got something exciting coming up. I have a show on TV for Monumental Sports Network every Monday through Friday. It's regional. It's D.C., Maryland, Virginia area. But I'm also going to be on CBS Sports Network, that cable channel, on Tuesday for the Early Edge, which we normally do on the SportsLine YouTube channel, which I do in about 28 minutes every Monday through Friday. But I'm going to be on CBS Sports Network this coming Tuesday at 2 o'clock. We'll be talking a lot of U.S. Open, NBA playoffs, NHL. So truth is, if you want to find what I'm doing, I kind of always retweet it, like when I'm on a show. So you follow me at Sia Nejad, you'll see everything that I'm doing.
Absolutely. I appreciate your time. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. Can't wait to see your thoughts and predictions on the U.S. Open. I still have no idea where I'm going. I'm still trying to get over round 1 of the Memorial from yesterday. So we'll get to that when we get to it. But thank you very much for your time. Keep up the great work. And guys, I can't stress enough to find this guy, follow him, and just listen to what he and his guests have to say. See ya. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Phil. Appreciate being here.
Have a good one. Again, guys, that was Sia Nejad right there. Find him, Sia Nejad Sports Network. Just find his Twitter page. Like I said, he's so involved with so many things. The easiest way to find him is on Twitter and to just find his content that he always shares out there. There was a lot of questions, guys, and a lot of comments. I was trying to pay attention to him and what he had to say. So I missed a lot of your comments, guys, and questions. I apologize. I saw Brad commenting. I missed that one. Yeah, exactly. Stop watching golf. Watch The Godfather instead. Who's your pick? I don't have a U.S. Open pick, Steve. Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Fairway to Heaven. We'll have the pick then. I'm not sure. Yes, it was a great show, and I've been waiting to get Sia Nejad on for a while. He's so busy. I would love to have 90 minutes of his time, but busy guy, and whatnot. But we got to wrap the show up. It is Friday. It does mean I got to get to the pizza shop, guys. I hope you all have a great weekend. Enjoy the London series with the Phillies versus the Mets, and to kind of piggyback and close off of what Sia Nejad talked about there, what he talks about in general. Let's just try to be good people this weekend. Let's try to set a goal of being nice to one random stranger this weekend. Let's make sure. I tweeted out at the end of Mental Health Awareness Month, give somebody a call or a text message you haven't talked in a while. The line I say all the time, people would rather hear from you than about you. Make sure you do that this weekend. Make somebody hear from you, not about you this weekend, guys. Yeah, I mean, he's from that area. Thank you very much. It was great. I'm glad I got him on. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk next week, Monday. Who knows what'll be on the agenda Monday? We'll probably be talking Phillies. We'll probably be talking London. We'll talk Eagles. We didn't really get into Eagles D versus Eagles O. We're going to talk Sixers next week because Joel Embiid's extension is going to be a mistake. But everybody, make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, that follow button, retweet. It's free to do it. Doesn't cost you a thing. Everybody have a great day. We'll talk to you guys next week. Go Birds. Ring that bell and bubbles up.